You by the Thompson family of dealerships in Nashua, New Hampshire, and by Tri-State Megabucks and the New Hampshire State Lottery, helping New Hampshire schools one ticket at a time.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome into another edition of Candlepin Stars and Strikes from Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire. Dick Lutz with my new rich friend Mike Moran, who had the Patriots in the Super Bowl. We're happy to have you with us as we start a new ladder series. We're looking for our 5th participant in the Tournament of Champions at the end of the year.
Yeah, these are guys that are going to make some money at the end of the year, including Jeff Surratt, who's the top seed so far, followed by Dave Hodge, Hugh Ferguson from the last series, and Craig Holbrook from a couple of months ago, and we need 2 more seeds, Dick.
Over the course of the next 4 weeks, you're going to see 5 of the best Candlepin bowlers in the world right here on Candlepin Stars and Strikes. Let's meet our first 2 contestants. First, our number 5 seed from Peabody, Massachusetts, making his Candlepin Stars and Strikes debut. Let's welcome Ed Tringale.
Ed coming in with an average of 123. His high single is 189, best triple 437. He's a North Shore bowler at Sunnyside and Danvers and Metro Bowl in Peabody for the Pro League.
And Ed rolled a 633 in the roll-off to earn the number 5 seed. He'll be taking on our number 4 seed, a veteran of Candlepin Stars and Strikes many times on television from Winthrop, Massachusetts. Say hello to Joe Stella.
Joe's average 125, high single 201, his best triple 486. Another North Shore guy at Central Park Lanes out of East Boston.
It's Ed Tringale and Joe Stella. Let's get right to it. Candlepin Stars and Strikes continues from Leda Lanes in Nashua right after this.
4.
We begin with 5 of the finest Candlepin bowlers in the world, and in 4 weeks we'll have a ladder champion to move into the Tournament of Champions at the end of the year. There you see our 5 bowlers, and let's start with Ed Tringale and Joe Stella, and we're ready to begin at Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire. Candlepin Stars and Strikes. Happy to have you with us. And Ed Tringale makes his debut with a great first ball right in the 1-3 pocket. No butterflies on that first ball.
Yeah, I bet there was. But he made a nice connection there on the Brooklyn side of the head pin.
And he missed the spare, so he has to take a 9 box. Went into the gutter and hopped out.
First time on WNDS, as you pointed out earlier, at 38 years of age.
From Peabody, Massachusetts. Another ball on the head pin, bowling out of Sunnyside and Danvers, Metro Bowl and Peabody in the Pro League. He's been bowling for 29 years. A paper cutter for Calendar Press in Peabody. He and his wife Gail have been married for 13 years, and they have a son Tyler, 8 years old, a daughter Abby, 4, and a spare. First 2 good boxes for Ed Tringale. Bad break on the first one with the ball going in the gutter and hopping out, but he seems to be on target early on. Now veteran Joe Stella.
He's got a pretty good do going today, have you noticed?
He's got a head of hair on him. He really does.
Serious hair going on. And his young son, 10-year-old...
he's got the same head of hair.
Got the same hair going
on. It's really funny. Yeah. He's sitting in the first row. We'll get a shot of him, too. Joe has got... I'll tell you, he's the envy of...
You.
Me. Yeah.
You do well with what you have to work with.
Follically challenged, as they say. That'll be a 9 box for Joe. Joe from Winthrop bowls out of Central Park Lanes in East Boston. He's been bowling for 28 years. He's been with us 9 times on the Candlepin Stars and Strikes show. On the old Channel 5 show, he was on another 9 times. So he's no stranger to the bright lights of television. One of the veterans of the wars of Candlepin bowling, a UPS courier driver working out of Somerville.
Actually, South Boston, that he just told me this morning.
Missed the spare. Joe and Debbie have been married for 13 years, 14 years now. Cheryl and Kara and Joe are their children.
Ages 17, 15, and 10.
Pair of 9s for Joe to start out. Ouch. Right through the middle. Put 4 in the mark. The spread eagle. Good shot. Played it well. Ed enjoys woodworking in his spare time, makes some of his own furniture. He spends summers deep sea fishing out of Salem, Massachusetts, catching mostly stripers. takes an 8-box.
I have never been deep sea fishing. I hate to admit that.
I went once many years ago off of Kennebunkport with my wife and another couple, and the three of them had a great time, and I was hanging over the side of the boat the whole time. I wanted to die. Death would have been a better option.
Oh, you didn't take, what is that, Dramamine?
I didn't take anything going.
Oh, boy.
They were pulling, the bluefish were jumping on the boat. They were just pulling in bluefish like they were going out of style. It's a tough shot right here because that pin moved off spot. He got it.
Oh, my. That was a great shot.
I was never so miserable in my life.
So I guess if I invite you to go out this summer on the boat, you would not be joining me.
Depends on how big the boat is, I think.
Well, with my Super Bowl winnings, I'm thinking of buying a 24-foot yacht.
Oh, he missed it again. He thought he had it right on the pin.
That piece of wood did not help him. Otherwise, it looked like he was on target to make it.
He'll have to settle for a 10-box. We've got lots of cards and letters and emails to get to during the course of this match and the matches that follow. Another ball right on the head pin, and he is left with a tough shot. The 3 and the 7. There goes the 3-pin. 7-pin still stands. We enjoy hearing from you. If you'd like to send us an email, our email address is bowling@wnds.com.
Well, it's back-to-back
look at that pin move off the spot again. He just had the 4-pin moved over to where the 7-pin used to be.
Well, he made a spare out of it last time on the other lane when he had a similar pin move.
Not this time. Oh, hold on a second. It's going to go by it. So Ed Tringale has the early lead over Joe Stella.
9 pins in completed boxes, 47-38 through 4. Scorekeeper in-house today is Kate Nichols. We thank Kate for keeping score. For those in the lanes watching today, you at home, of course, get the electronic version.
Tell you a funny story, Michael. My wife and I went out to dinner recently in downtown Manchester at an Italian restaurant downtown. Piccolo Italia, perhaps you've been there.
A wonderful restaurant.
Nice place. We got there on a Saturday night, and it was pretty crowded. We didn't have a reservation. One of the patrons, by the way, who was dining while we walked in was our friend George from George's Men's Shop in downtown Manchester. We'll talk about
2 blocks away
a little bit later on.
Sure.
Michael and I get our clothes from George's, and they do a great job. It's just a terrific store. But in any case, Piccolo Italia was a little bit crowded, so the hostess suggested that we go upstairs to a bar that's not affiliated with the restaurant and have a drink while we wait.
Sure.
So we went up, and it was early in the evening, and it was a Saturday night, so they weren't crowded yet. It's a very modern, beautiful
very
place.
Boston-like.
Very Boston.
I've been up there dancing, and I've had a chocolate martini or two.
Spectacular place if you've never been there. Anyway, we're sitting at the bar having a drink, and this gentleman seated a couple of stools from us, and we just started up conversation. And he looks at me and he says, "You look just like the guy that does the bowling show on television." So needless to say, we introduced ourselves, and it's Joe, and he's the owner of the bar at the Vetro, and just a terrific guy, a great fan of the show, loves this show.
Wonderful.
One of the greatest fans you'd ever want to bump into. And he's got a beautiful bar out in downtown Manchester called Vetro. If you've never been there, it's really something to see. In downtown Manchester, you wouldn't expect to see something like that. And it really is quite a place.
The changing face of downtown Manchester becoming just a little bit more urban without losing the charm of being, you know, away from the city and all the congestion. Yes, I've been up there, and it is a good time. So, Joe, glad you like the show.
He called his wife at home to tell him that he met
Had a
me
celebrity
and I was
in
there. Yeah,
really?
Yeah, it was really fun.
Did he pump you full of, you know, good drinks before he went back
was
down
nice
to
enough to send us over around. He was very, very congenial. He was just a nice guy. I really enjoyed meeting him, and it was just so much fun.
Should have stuck around for all the dancing, you know, about 12 and 1 o'clock.
We heard, as we went down to eat and coming out of the restaurant after that, we heard it.
Yeah, you can hear the bass. Well, Mr. Tringale now goes 3 boxes without a mark. Joe Stella's not had one yet, so still about an 8-pin margin through completed frames.
My wife is always amazed whenever we go somewhere and someone walks up to me. Here's a strike for Ed Tringale and a nice shot, his 3rd mark of the string.
Is she surprised that you get recognized?
We get so many people that come up to us and say that they've seen us on the show. Here's a shot of the strike one more time. Well, we're not going to get to see it before we get back to live action, and there's Joe Stella trying to bounce back. He's got a spare opportunity here. Those couple of those pins are wobbling and they won't go down.
It's not good wood either, I don't think, for the back.
Well, it helps out. Yep.
Yeah, that time it did.
Joe's 1st mark of the string. But invariably, almost anywhere we go in a public place, someone comes up to me and says that they watched the bowling show. It's just a great experience. It really is humbling. 7 in the spare. And we've noticed in the Globe over the past several weeks where they've put on the sports page ratings of sports programs. There's a nice shot by Joe Stella. How well Candlepin Stars and Strikes has been doing in the ratings, and we certainly do appreciate that fact.
Yeah, you guys are the ones that make that happen. We can't thank you enough.
I hope you've been noticing those ratings in the last several weeks. That generally published on Tuesdays, and it's really been unbelievable to watch how well the show has been doing against some pretty stiff competition.
Oh, sure.
We've been beating the Celtics. We've been beating Boston College basketball, which is unbeaten. BC basketball. They're unbeaten as we tape this show today. There's another shot and another great spare. The bowlers are warming up. Ed Tringale, 2 marks in a row, looking for bonus money. Watch this spare. There it is. Perfectly in the pocket. Now another good pocket shot. Can he break up the split? Oh, he's left with a tough shot.
He's been really good about hitting the head pin on his first ball, which has worked well for him.
I don't think he's missed the head pin yet.
I don't think so. He's had a couple splits, which is the occupational hazard of being so accurate.
This might go. No, didn't go. He is at 117. A little below his average. That's what it'll be, a 117 first string for Ed Tringale. Joe Stella now to lane 34. Candlepin Stars and Strikes presented by McMulkin Chevrolet, Nashua Mitsubishi, Nashua Hyundai, and McMulkin Cadillac, all in Nashua. 9-pin drop on the first ball for Joe Stella. Now the key is to keep the ball out of the gutter. There's a couple of pins in the gutter there. You don't want them getting in the way. Clear shot at that pin, and Joe has the spare. And $50 in bonus money for Joe Stella.
Throwing the ball very confidently now. Didn't have a real great start, but he's had 3 marks in a row now since the start of the 7th frame.
$50 in bonus money for Joe, looking for more. Right on the head pin again, right through the head pin. Breaks up the spread eagle, but still not much to show for it.
When he let it go, it looked like it'd be perfectly in the 1-3 pocket, but he's got a bit of a break on the ball, a little right to left rotation. It carved right through the middle.
Right through the
again.
hole. So we're going to have a very close match after 1. I'd say we're going to have a pretty close match. We're dead even after 1 string. 117 for Joe Stella. 117 for Ed Tringale. String number 2 coming up from Leda Lanes in Nashua. We continue with Candlepin Stars and Strikes. Here you see Bowling Bear, brought to us today by Arlene Donovan of Manchester and held by Kate Nichols, our scorer here at Leda Lanes. And it's Vermont Teddy Bear, and Arlene Donovan of Manchester told me before we started taping, Michael, she's a faithful listener of yours on WZID 95.7. And the Vermont Teddy Bear she brought to us, the Bowling Bear, and we wanted to show everybody at home, and Kate Nichols is modeling it for us.
The custom bear. It says Arlene on her bowling shirt, by
the way. Yeah, it does. It's really nice. It's got her name right on it. So we thought you'd like to see that. Let's get ready to bowl with Joe Stella as we get set to start string number 2 at Leda Lanes. We're ready. with Joe Stella and Ed Tringale, tied at 117 each after one string of play. From Leda Lanes, it's Candlepin Stars and Strikes. Dick Lutz with Mike Moore. Happy to have you with us, and will it go? Yes, it will. Joe Stella starts off with a strike on his way to a perfect 300 game.
You jinx him every time you say that, Dick.
You don't think it'll ever happen, huh?
No.
Here's Joe. We'll see if we have enough time. He comes back for number 2. He's in the Brooklyn side and a little bit thin on the hit. The highest recorded string in Candlepin bowling, 245. Oh, Joe almost made the spare.
Nice. He'll fill with 9 and have an unobstructed shot at the 7th.
And it'll be a 10 box.
So our runner-up today receives $200 and our best wishes. And the winner will go on to bowl Bart Medeiros, a good friend of Candlepin bowling, especially to youth programs up at Pilgrim Lanes. We talk about him often with the various programs he's a part of at Pilgrim, and you'll get to see him if you never have. He's a great left-handed bowler. Bart Medeiros will be our bowler next week. So we'll see if Joe Stella or Ed Tringale, which of the two will get to bowl Mr. Medeiros. There's the 6 and the 7 with a piece of wood adjacent to both pins. And it's a 9 to begin the second string for Ed Tringale, who tied Joe Stella with 117 after the first game. He's up against a Joe Stella Open now in box number 2. And we talked about him hitting the head pin pretty consistently in the first string. He was a bit to the left on this shot, leaving 6 up. Now he's got the 4-6 and the 7-9, some wood over on the right-hand side between the 6 and the 9. And he'll take an 8. So now Joe Stella moves ahead by 12 pins through 2 boxes in game number 2. Chris Sargent 2 weeks from today, there's a name you know, and Sean Baker will be our top seed. You'll see him 3 weeks from today. And this is our second to last ladder series to find 2 more bowlers in the Tournament of Champions, a 5-week event that goes on pretty much through April and May. So Stella picking the 2 middle pins out of the 4 horsemen on the right side. Probably hope for a 9 here, and that's what he gets. Stella been bowling for 28 years, so he is not one to get too nervous in a competitive situation. Missing the head pin to the left, leaves the 1, 3, 9, and 10. Still the 3 pin.
I was looking for the name slipped my mind. We mentioned the 245 being the highest.
Who it was?
Ralph Sem from Western Massachusetts. Had the 245, the highest recorded single.
And I think a 240 game, correct me if I'm wrong, was bowled by, I think his name was Jerry Montmany. And that name rings a bell as well. He was also in the 240s. A bit of a lob, but it was this side of the lob line, so it's all good. 7, 8, 9.
Ed Tringale on lane 34. Candlepin Stars and Strikes presented by the New Hampshire Sweepstakes Commission, Tri-State Megabucks, and the games of the New Hampshire Lottery Commission. Moving over to lane 33. Another great crowd on hand. There you see him in the background. Good pocket shot. Oh, that 10 pin.
Hard to believe that stayed up. Oh, was it the 4 pin that wrapped around it?
Right around it, all the way around it.
Even rotated it just a bit.
Missed it, and it picked it out of the gutter again, just as he did earlier on. Has to settle for a 9 box. So we'll go to the break. Joe Stella has a 13-pin lead over Ed Tringale. We continue from Leda Lanes in Nashua. It's Candlepin Stars and Strikes. Joe Stella ready to bowl on lane 34 at Lita Lanes. He has a 13-pin lead over Ed Tringale as we near the halfway point of the match, and Joe throws one right in the 1-3 pocket, leaves the 5-pin. Spare for Joe Stella.
Dick, I want to mention the annual Bowlers Bash fundraiser was held February 5th. So that's behind us, but you and I will be a part of Rock and Bowl next Sunday. That's Sunday, the 20th of February, along with some wonderful professional bowlers. And it's all to help the kids defray the cost of their annual trip to Canada for the international tournament, all part of the ICYBA. You can find out more information at ICYBA.org. It all begins at 9 o'clock in the morning. Lots of ways for you to help by bowling with the pros. You can also put a little wager on who's going to be the higher bowler, Dick or me, when we have our annual grudge match.
Have you started practicing yet?
No, I'll start that morning.
I must admit, I must confess to you, I snuck over to Fast Lanes in Stowe the other day. My brother and I went over on a Saturday, late in the day, on a very nice Saturday. I thought the place would be quiet. It was jam-packed. It was hopping.
Yeah. Saturdays in the winter, you kidding me? That's
it was such a nice day. It was late in the day, and they had a lot of birthday parties going on. Nice shot by Ed Tringale. Good spare for Ed.
Did Ross Wheeler give you another set of bowling balls and some new shoes, too?
Ross was there. Ross is a terrific guy. Runs a great bowling establishment on Route 117 in Stowe and the Shaw's Plaza there. If you watch the spare again by Ed Tringale. And again, I thought it was going to be a quiet time. I thought I was going to be, you know, not creating any stir. And there I was bowling, and I turned around, and who's watching me but Jackie Ray was standing over my shoulder.
Is he coming, do you know, next Sunday?
He said he's going to try. Jackie was there. His daughter works behind the counter at Fast Lanes. So Jackie was there to pick her up, and he watched us bowl for a little while. Contained his laughter very nicely, I might add.
Well, you bowled unbelievably last year with a 141 game, which will be tough to top this year. But what rabbit you going to pull out of your hat next Sunday, Dick?
I know the way I bowled the other day, I may not show up.
Well, it's all in good fun. Dick and I hope to see you next Sunday, Pilgrim Lanes on Primrose Street in Haverhill, Massachusetts, right off 495. And then the actual trip to Canada, the event that we're raising money for, will be happening on March 17th through that weekend when they head up to Canada, Dartmouth, Nova Scotia. 4-day weekend, 800 miles away into another country to compete against their Canadian friends. And I did go on that trip one year. It is so much fun, but it's also expensive. So come on by and meet the bowlers, bowl with them, and you'll really enjoy yourself.
Tip of the hat to the Angelotti family, too, at Pilgrim Lanes for their contributions to these kids. They turn the alleys over to the kids for this fundraising event. It's just above and beyond, and they do it year after year after year. And listen, they've got a heavy investment in the future of Candlepin bowling, and they try to take care of it the best they can. Oh, Joe Stella, look at that shot.
Unbelievable. That's the third pin we've seen slide off spot on today's show, and this is the what pin was that? Would have been the 2 pin, I think.
It was the 2. It's now over by the 4, yeah.
Wow.
I think so. $10 for Joe. Tough break for Joe Stella.
The Angelotti family, as you pointed out, very generous and committed to the game and the youth of Candlepin bowling, as is their instructor, Bart Medeiros. Now, he's going to be on our show next week, and the great thing is, while we're actually conducting the event, Bart will be on television. They've got all kinds of TV monitors, so we'll all be very excited to watch Bart on a replay of the show that you're going to see next week.
That was the worst first ball thrown by Ed Tringale thus far. He was well off the head pin. Comes back with a great second ball and almost made the spare.
Well, he's got a chance to make up some ground now because Joe Stella is on 3 unmarked boxes in a row.
That's not going to count. That's going to be a 9 box. That's the 3rd pin he's lost.
He's had problems with the corner pins, especially on the left-hand side. Yet he's only 6 pins behind. A mark here could put him ahead. So it's still an even, a very close match.
On lane 33. That's a good first ball. And there's the 5 pin. There's the 5 pin still standing, staring right back at him. Didn't move an inch. Missed it.
Very frustrating. Single pins.
Looks easy, doesn't it, huh?
Well, yeah, it sure does.
From here,
we know better.
Has to take a 9 box. Loses another pin in the count.
Yeah,
trails by 7.
7 pins behind. Only 1 mark for him and 2 for Joe Stella this game.
They were tied at 117 after 1. We have $800 in our triple strike jackpot, by the way. If either of our bowlers can put 3 strikes together, back to back to back, they'll walk away with $800. Nice shot. Oh, I thought he had it right there.
6-7 remain. It'll be tough to pull a 10 out of this one.
He'd take a 9 and be happy with it. Kevin LaFawn's our director today on Candlepin Stars and Strikes, as he is each and every week. Keith Webb's our engineer. Craig Amabello, Larry Haber, and Tanya Perry, our camera crew. Chuck Lothrop's on replay. Kristen Doobie is handling audio, and Steve Kenny's on graphics. Kate Nichols, our scorer in the house here at Leda Lanes, keeping Mike Moran honest.
Well, like you, Dick, I'm recognized pretty frequently, and you got to behave yourself now that people know what we look like.
That's a great spare by Joe Stella. The ball came back. We're going to watch it again. Keep your eyes on the ball, as they say.
It was the ball, wasn't it? Oh, my. Well, considering all the bad breaks he's had with pin sliding, I think they owed him one.
Good first ball there. And another pin slides, but finally falls. Put 8 in the spare, and a 114 second string for Joe Stella. A 231 total for 2 strings.
We need a couple
marks. 34 pins over the last 2 boxes, and that would tie it. That's a bad first ball. It's got away from him. That's a pretty good second ball. Oh, look at the 5 pin. He threw a great ball right in the pocket. And the 5 pin again, as it does so many times, let everything go by. Another 9 box. He'll need a mark for 100.
Still very fortunate to be in the match as close as he is, based on a lot of the single pins that he has left standing. Seems to have totally lost his rhythm, huh, compared to the first game.
Yeah. That's a good shot. Oh, he takes it that way. Just like he planned it.
Well, with the strike, he'd be 5 pins behind Joe Stella going into the 3rd string. Not high scoring, but nice and close. Is everyone still basking in the excitement of last week's Super Bowl victory by the Patriots?
No one basking more than you.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it.
He will put 7 in the spare and finish with a 106 second string, which means that Joe Stella has an 8-pin lead after 2 as we continue from Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire with Candlepin Stars and Strikes. Tringale will bowl first in string number 3 from Leda Lanes in Nashua. It's Candlepin Stars and Strikes. Dick Lutz with Mike Moran. Happy to have you with us as you watch the finest Candlepin bowlers in the world each and every week right here. Leda Lanes. Ed trails by 8 pins going to the 3rd string. 231 to 223.
Some of the bowlers just missing the cut for today's this next month's worth of 5 bowlers include Rich Hawk Hallis, came in 6th.
Oh, what a great shot.
Hawk Hallis missed the cut by just 2 pins behind Ed Tringale. Ed Woodside, a good friend of Joe Stella, missed the cut by 5 pins.
Watch it again. Watch that pin come flying off the wall and take out the 10 pin.
Other bowlers in the top 10 that did not make the top 5 include Sam D'Agostino, Gary Santora. Been a while since we've seen Gary, who's seems like a perennial bowler in the Tournament of Champions, and Gary Duffett. Chris Bovair was in 12th place. Dave Cookie Richards in 15th. John Zappi was in there. Anthony Pastore, a bowler here out of Leda Lanes, was number 17. Dick O'Connell, oh my, he's been active trying to get on. He did not make the cut. And Bart Medeiros' son Andrew came in 21st. bowlers you didn't see or will not see this time around.
6 in the spare in the 9 box. He's going to go down and shoot that 5-pin one of these times. It's really been.
It has been, in theory, the easiest of the single pin spares to make.
Joe Stella right in the pocket, surrounding the 10-pin. The wood falls off. Right on it, Joe Stella matching the spare by Ed Tringale. Michael, I just want to mention before we get farther along, the state of New Hampshire lost one of its great radio pioneers recently, and a very close friend, former business partner of mine. Jim McCann was the vice president, general manager of WKBR in Manchester, several other stations. He and I were partners in radio stations in Laconia and in Biddeford, Maine, and he passed recently, just a few days after his wife passed. And his wife was a wonderful lady, Kay McCann, as well. So my condolences, our condolences to the McCann family. He was a great contributor to the radio business in the state of New Hampshire for many, many, many years. He was one of the original founders of WZID. By
yes, and because I didn't grow up here, I don't have the sense of the heritage and history that certainly you do, but I was, first of all, saddened to see that his wife had predeceased him by, as you pointed out, just a few days. So the family must be just devastated over the double losses. So I certainly send my condolences along with Dick as well, even though I've never met the man. But WZID is certainly a good tribute to him as the successful station it is that he had a big hand in.
That's going to be a tough box for Ed Tringale, a 6 box. Can't afford many of those in a tight match.
Yeah, it's starting to slip away from him now. Joe Stella gave him plenty of opportunities for 20 boxes, but now Joe Stella is stepping his game up a bit.
He missed the head pin there, got a little bit of a break. Still a tough shot here with the 1-7-8. No wood to help out. Great shot. Oh, the 8-pin. He played it perfectly. And still it wouldn't go. And that'll be a 9 box. Now Joe Stella, who already has $50 in bonus money from the first string, looks for more bonus money here in string number 3.
Joe Stella was WCBC Rookie of the Year back in 1988 and 1989. Not terribly active in the Pro Tour, so he's got no championships to speak of.
Joe put 7 in the mark, and he has opened up a 15-pin lead. He'll be open in the 3rd frame.
It's funny, Dick, that they tied, both he and Ed tied in the first game, because last time Joe Stella was on, he tied after 3 strings. Last time around on Channel 50, he was at 342 at David Dupuy, but won in overtime 37-29, October of 2003, rather.
That's a good first ball and a spare opportunity here for Joe Stella. And this could really put the pressure on. That piece of wood is backing out of the way. He's got a clear shot at it. Doesn't want to clip the end of that wood. He might do that. Oh, he did it, and he took the ball, took it anyway. So we go to the break. Joe Stella has opened up about a 20-pin lead over Ed Tringale as we continue from Leda Lanes in Nashville with Candlepin Stars and Strikes. Ed Tringale on lane 34 at Leda Lanes. He needs to put some marks together, as Joe Stella has opened up a little bit of a lead. It was a good first ball, but it's straight through a spread eagle. Got a note here from Bob Dahlbeck, an email. Just wanted to let you guys know how much the guys from the Lytic Club, I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly, L-Y-T-I-C, in Douglasport, Massachusetts, enjoy our show on Sundays. Then it's followed by the World Champion Patriots games. So the day includes lunch, usually prepared by Scooney, and also a pizza delivery by Mr. Dahlbeck. Cocktail served by Moose, Rex, and John. Thanks for the memories, Bob Dahlbeck, and thank you for your email, and hope all the guys down at the Lytic Club, celebrating the Patriots World Championship again, are enjoying Candlepin Stars and Strikes.
I would love to have lunch served to me by somebody named Scooney. For some reason, that's the perfect name.
Here's a strike by Ed Tringale, a badly needed strike. He could use a couple more. Watch it again. This one was right buried in the pocket, and there goes the 5-pin. didn't have enough nerve to stay up that time. Joe off the head pin there. Puts just 4 in the mark. .24-pin lead for Joe Stella. And another spare. So Joe with 4 marks and 5 boxes. That was a tough one, but he made it. As he continues to apply the pressure. That's a straight through spread eagle.
Wow. Back-to-back 4 fills for Joe Stella. And this match, Dick, is still pretty close. I mean,
well, if Ed could put a couple of marks together, he would be right back in it. That's a good out by Joe, taking 9 bucks. He's happy to do it. Now, Ed Tringale, here's the turning point in the match right here. He's working on a strike, and he needs to put a couple more marks on the board. As he's running out of boxes.
28-pin deficit minus whatever he puts in the second ball in his strike fill.
Next week, Bart Medeiros. Good first ball. Breaks up the split. Very makeable spare here. Of course, the key is hitting the 2-pin, the object pin. I think that piece of wood might be frozen to it, which gives him a little room for error.
Yeah, I think that's a good drop there.
He's got it. 2 marks in a row.
Well, hopefully that pumps his confidence up a little bit. You just kind of get a feeling earlier that he just kind of lost himself and perhaps wasn't feeling too confident, especially dropping all those single pin spares he was missing.
Well, 18 pins through completed boxes is the lead for Joe Stella, but Ed Tringale has a spare. And needs another one. Good first ball. Oh, he could have used a strike.
He's really got to focus and be confident on the shot because he's not done well on the corner pins. And
nope, he's been.
I know it would be bothering me. I'm not sure what's going through his mind right now.
Keep it out of the gutters. Keeping it, and he did. He's right on it. 3 marks in a row. $50 in bonus money, and more importantly, right back in the hunt. Now the pressure shifts back to Joe Stella.
They got a horse race going on here now.
And here's Joe. Right on the head pin, and how's that for a response? Joe's been down this road before.
He has indeed.
The strike for Stella went on the Brooklyn side. Looked like he might have a tough leave, but they just kept on falling. Right through the middle. Still working on a strike, though. He's got another ball to go, and that piece of wood is not going to hurt. The more wood on the deck's going to help. So he's got a shot here. Let's see what he does with it. Watch out. Don't give up on it yet. Oh, it's a 9-pin fill. And a 10 box. Well, Ed Tringale again needs to continue to mark. He still trails by 10 pins. 18 pins, actually.
In the match, right. Minus whatever he gets
right
on this fill shot right here. So he could drop it to less than a mark with a good fill.
Missed the head pin, got a good break. The head pin goes. He's left with the 2 and the 7. Tough shot.
What do you do with this one?
10-pin lead for Joe Stella through 8 boxes as Ed Tringale works in the 9th box. Missed it. Tough miss. He needed that. And it'll be a 9 box. So he's at 115. He really does need a mark to force Joe Stella to pin well. A double strike would certainly help out a lot. But he absolutely needs to mark. Grabs the head pin. Can't quite get them all. The 7 pin still stands. And he's on it.
Well, he certainly has settled down on his single pin shots, hasn't he, Dick?
5th mark of the string. He's at 125 plus a ball. Well, a strike here would make it a 19-pin advantage for Tringale. Joe Stella would need 19 pins over the last 2 boxes to tie. Right through the middle. He threw a great ball, and he only had 4 pins to show for it.
So now Joey only needs 14 pins to win.
13 pins to tie, 14 pins to win for Joe Stella. As Ed Tringale finishes with a 352.
Now you go back and you count all the single pins that you missed, and you start saying, well, they do add up after a while, and maybe it would have made a difference in this game.
So there's 6 of the 13 that Joe needs. And 2 more. And he has an 8 box. 116 for Joe. He needs 5 to tie, 6 to win.
And Ed's going to go home and practice his single pins next week.
5 to tie, 6 to win for Joe Stella. And Joe Stella advances. So Joe Stella will defeat Ed Tringale in our first match, and Bart Medeiros waiting in the wings for next week.
$200 for first-time television bowler Ed Tringale is our runner-up today.
10 bucks for Joe to finish out with a 126 and a 3-string total of 357 and a 5-pin win over Ed Tringale. 357 to 352. We'll come back and talk to our bowlers in just a moment when we return to Leda Lanes in Nashua for Candlepin Stars and Strikes.